Welcome to another Adobe Tip of the Month from your friends at headTrix Training. My name is Warren Heaton, and today I'll be showing you a tip on how to use snapping in After Effects. Now, if you use After Effects at all, you might already be aware of the timeline snapping, which has existed in After Effects, well, really since the very first version. But in the more recent versions, or in After Effects CC, they have added a checkbox at the top of the interface where you actually check off snapping, which is different than the snapping that's always been there, which is the timeline snapping. So when you're working in the timeline, you can drag your current time marker around, and by itself, it just slides from frame to frame as you scrub it left and right. However, if you add the Shift key, whether you're on Mac or Windows, it'll snap to different elements in your timeline. So here I placed a few timeline markers, and if I click and drag across those without the Shift key, the playback head just slides right past them. But if I add the Shift key, it'll snap into place when I get to either like the number 1 marker that's right here, or the number 2 timeline marker that I placed right here. Now over here, my layer number 1 is just a solid, and you'll notice its time span only goes for the first 3 seconds of the comp. But as I click and drag the current time marker, also with a normal click and drag, it just slides past my keyframes, my marker, and my layer outpoint. However, if I add the Shift key, the playback head will then snap to either the keyframes. So here are my 2 opacity keyframes at the head of the clip. There's that 1 layer marker that I placed on the layer, and then there's the outpoint of the layer. So by adding the Shift key, I get the timeline snapping. And again, that's a feature that's been pretty much in every version of After Effects. But now in CC, they've added snapping up here at the top of the user window. The way that works is you need to have, well, more than 1 layer. So the first thing I'm going to do is select my layer number 1 and choose Edit Duplicate so that I have a second layer. And now I have something for layer 1 to snap to. If snapping is off, you get the behavior you've always had in After Effects. Whenever you click and drag one layer over another layer, there's no interaction between those layers. You can let go of it and the layer just winds up wherever you positioned it when you click and drag it. However, now if you turn the snapping feature on, or the new snapping feature in CC, first thing you need to maybe pay attention to is each of your handles becomes one of the snap points, and After Effects automatically chooses the handle that you click closest to. So if I click here in the upper left region of my layer, well, you'll notice here I clicked and dragged, and whichever point activates or it gets a little stroke around it, that's the point that's going to snap. So if I want my upper left corner to snap, I need to click close to but not on the upper left corner. And now as I drag that over another layer, it will snap to points on that layer. So here it's snapping to the right side of layer 2, or it's snapping to the top of layer 2. But I could also snap to the bottom or to the left side. It'll also snap to wherever the handles are on the other layer. So I could go to any of the top handles, the side handle, the bottom handle, or I could let it snap to the anchor point. Now of course, if I wanted the bottom right corner to be the snap point, I would click and drag close to the bottom right point, and right now you can see how it's gotten a stroke around that point. So that's the point that's going to snap as this interacts with other layers. What I'm going to do is I'm going to align my anchor point, or the center of my current layer, to the bottom right corner of my other layer. So I need to click and drag somewhere close to that center point, but again not on the anchor point, and then drag and drop that over the other point I want it to snap to. Again, it'll snap to the sides, but I want it to snap right into that right corner. So now I've aligned that perfectly with that other edge. And again, without this feature turned on, that of course would be, well, close to impossible to do. Of course, you could come in and try to do it with numeric information and setting your position values and try to calculate that to get the anchor point of layer 1 directly over the bottom right corner of layer 2. And that is doable, but now with the new snapping feature, it's much easier to get stuff to just snap right into place. And of course, you can take this and extend this a little bit further. Now that I've got my 2 layers that have been snapped together, I can make duplicates of those while they're both selected. And now the duplicates, as I move those around, you'll notice here they're a grouped pair, or they're a selected pair. And as I click and drag that, I'm clicking close to this point right here. And so that now becomes my snap or align point. Let's say I want to align this middle anchor point to the next corner. And I can repeat that until I have all my artwork aligned the way I need it aligned.
I hope you enjoyed this tip of the month from headTrix Training.